Three, 2, 1, go.
What's up, guys? We doing our little because we haven't had one in a little bit.
So we are. What are we going to talk about? You guys can check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, BitChute, Instagram, Facebook. Am I missing any?
I think you covered it. We're here with Matt Shindeldecker today. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, how far back do you want to go?
As far as back you want.
Yeah, there you go. So my name is Matt. I grew up in Rockford, born and raised in Rockford. Actually went to Celina schools from first grade through fourth grade. I started in Marion Local. My dad and mom, before they divorced, jumped around a little bit, so I was kind of all over the place. But I graduated from Rockford. So most of my friends I met early from Celina, and those are the same friends I have today and same people I hang out with today. Nice. So it's kind of a cool connection. But went to Celina through fourth grade. Some really traumatic stuff happened in that fourth grade time frame. Transitioned from Celina to Parkway, and then graduated Parkway class of 1993. And then went on.
How big was Parkway then?
So my senior year, we consolidated, or I say we. Mendon consolidated with Parkway my senior year, going into my senior year. So originally, I think our class was 90, I'm going to say 91 or 92 people.
Okay.
And then Mendon, it was one of their largest senior classes, and I think they had 15. So we graduated, 15 people. So
one of their largest.
Yeah, one of their largest.
I can see why they consolidated.
In a very long period of time. So they brought like 15. So we I think our graduating class was just over 100 based on their consolidation. Yeah. So really small. I mean, at that time, Rockford was a town of like 1,200 people or 1,100 people. So really small school. And my grandparents lived there, so when my mom and dad divorced, and then when she went away to prison, I lived with my grandparents through the week, and my dad would come home on the weekend because he was road construction, and so it just made more sense for me to graduate, go to Parkway, because they lived in Rockford, right? So and it was just much easier transition. So, so I graduated from Parkway in 1993, went on to Columbus State Community College. Played baseball there a year, which was, fun. But and then transitioning into my second year, what was then my girlfriend at the time, she became pregnant with Tanner, who you guys know.
Yeah.
Right? So we had Tanner, and then I, graduated from school and got a job at Crown right away. Actually, matter of fact, I had a job before I graduated. Literally graduated on a Friday, started on a Monday. That was 25 years ago. So still working at Crown, had another child, Taylor, and then divorced. And then now I have two stepchildren, and of course remarried, and a little 6-year-old yesterday granddaughter. Through Taylor and Cortland. So Tayller married Cortland. We instantly had a grandchild.
That's awesome.
With I Do. Welcome to, being grandparents.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, it was a big jump for sure. So we have, Jen and I have been married 14 years. We have, our oldest is Tyler. He's 26. And then Tanner, who you guys probably know the best, Tanner, 24. How old are you guys now?
He's probably 24.
24?
Yeah. 23.
Yeah, so 24, 25's right in there. And then Taylor.
Dolly and I graduated with Taylor.
You guys graduated Taylor. So Taylor, and then Dylan's the youngest at, he's 20, going to be 21 this year.
That's right.
Yep. So each kid was 2 2 years apart, which was crazy how the family blended together, right? So you had Tyler graduating, and then 2 years later you had Tanner, 2 years Taylor, 2 years Dylan.
Nice.
So for us, it was like perfect. Graduation, relax, graduation, relax, graduation, party. Because they're all out. So that's, so live in Celina.
What brought you back to Celina?
I think it was is where I wanted to be. Rockford was really small. So when I graduated Columbus State and came back, I'm like, listen, I don't want to go back to Rockford. There was a lot of stuff that, I shouldn't have done when I was growing up. And, part of it was just, trying to outlive my reputation, so to speak, from, my parents and my mom and all that stuff that kind of happened. So I always kind of had a chip on my shoulder. And I thought, maybe it's time to turn a corner and move to Celina. And my girlfriend at the time, now ex-wife, also was from Celina. So I was like, well, we'll just, live there, and that's where we'll raise the kids.
Move to the big city.
Yeah, move to the big city, get out of the country, so to speak. It didn't help me from a direction because it kept getting crazier, until I was in my mid-20s, 25, 26, and life kind of reality stepped in. I'm like, I got to make a change, or I'm not going to live long, and my kids aren't going to, prosper, so to speak. So that's when things kind of made a positive change for me. But yeah, that's why Celina. It was just like, let's get out of Rockford. Columbus was great, but that's too big. Let's settle in Celina.
It seems like a lot of people who come from somewhere else and come to Celina love Celina area. They love to live in Celina. Just somehow have a vibe. Celina, it seems like people like to come back to Celina and live there.
Yeah, definitely.
Not too big, not too small.
Yeah.
That's right. You seem to have everything. Plus, you can get to about anywhere you want to go in a couple hours.
Yeah, that's true.
A couple hours Cincinnati, a couple hours Columbus, a couple hours Toledo.
Yeah, we are right in the middle, aren't we?
Yeah. You think about it. You really want to go bigger than Columbus. You want to go to Indy, so you're 3 hours, right? So that if you look at it that way, you're kind of centrally located, close to an airport, Dayton. So it's
have the lake for fun.
Well. Yep, spent a lot of time on the lake. Yep, had the lake for fun for sure. Yeah, so we moved back to Celina, and then I started at Crown, and 25 years later, I'm still here. And
what do you do at Crown?
So I'm my title is National Account Manager.
Okay.
I take care of Walmart for the company. So globally, wherever Walmart goes, that's the customer that I'm responsible for. So it's all sales, but realistically, the sales portion of what I do is minimal. It's more customer relations and, making sure that we continue to serve them properly so they can continue to buy trucks. And there's a whole group of us. It's not just me. There's a whole group of people that we surround ourselves with that take care of the account. I'm just that one that has that title that says National Account Manager.
So do you travel?
Travel extensively.
Do you really?
Yeah, I haven't since COVID. I say we were sent home. We were instructed that, hey, let's start to work from home in March. My last trip was in mid-March, and I've not traveled since. Yeah, it was funny. I was looking at. I always stay at Marriott's and I fly Delta, and that's just the two businesses that I spread my travel through. And from the first of the year through that third weekend in March, I had, I'm going to say, I think it was 73 nights or 63 nights. I'm trying to look it up here. 73 nights in a hotel.
That's
nice.
Crazy.
So
that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Working with only Walmart.
Working only with Walmart, and that's
Is it mostly warehouse stuff then.
Yeah, so it's majority of that business is warehouse. Yes, because you think about a large distribution center, a million and a half square feet, they're going to put 200 trucks in it or 150 units in it. So that's where a lot of the travel comes into play. So between working with Bentonville, the home office, going down there, visiting your buyers and engineering groups and all of that team, you're visiting the individual warehouses, making sure your trucks are doing what they're supposed to. Again, it's not, I go back to, it's not really sell. I'm not trying to sell you this piece of equipment because the Crown truck, so to speak, speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. Think about a Cadillac or the Premier car line. That's what we're kind of looked like, or that's the presence that we have in the industry
Yeah.
when it comes to material handling. So I don't have to sell it that much, right? It's more or less, hey, are we doing the right thing as a company?
Yeah.
Making sure that the trucks work and the service happens and all that kind of thing. So
I think that's the good side of sales, anyways.
no, there's no question
That
about
relationship
it.
based.
Yep. It's all relationship based.
Rather than
100%. Yeah.
Get them and dump them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we do that in the U.S. Obviously, Walmart is headquartered in Bentonville, but each country has its own country head as well. So although Walmart Inc. is located in Arkansas, there's a Walmart, president that sits in Canada, one that sits in Mexico.
Oh,
one
really?
that handles Central America, one that,
Okay.
handles South America, each individual country as you go down. So you take what we do for Walmart domestically and you multiply that by every country that they go in. So, a lot of my travel is, when I was traveling, I could be in Pennsylvania, Bedford, Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania this week. And literally next week I could be flying to Santiago, Chile.
Wow.
Just because
pretty
a lot of
cool,
international stuff.
Yeah, a lot of international stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So that's just kind of how, that works. It's
Any crazy trips internationally that you've had to go on?
no, not really. I've met a ton of interesting people, but not really crazy trips.
Which is probably a good thing.
Yeah. There was my last flight, and there's not a lot of people that know this. The Delta knows it, which scared me for a minute. My last flight, probably the craziest thing I've ever been a part of flying. And I've, year before last, I spent 200 nights in a hotel. So I've flown a ton through Delta, and I was flying back from Florida. So I was in Cocoa, Florida, coming back home. Took the first flight out, 6 a.m. flight out of Cocoa, landed in Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Dayton was my jump. And that Atlanta flight normally takes off at about 10 o'clock. You land in that 11:30 time frame, and I'm typically home by 1. So jump on the plane. Crown doesn't pay for first class, but because I travel so much, I'm typically always upgraded. So I'm in my first class seat. I'm in the very front row, so I'm bulkhead. I'm on the right side. Restrooms over here, and it's 2 and 2. So there's 2 seats over here, 2 seats over here. Two huge gentlemen. One guy sits on the aisle across from me. One guy sits next to me. Like football type of. They were dressed to the nines, big rings. I'm like, man, these guys. Like if I followed sports more, I'd be able to be like, oh, you play for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just that type. So we take off no problems. We take off out of Atlanta. We get we're 10 or 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes tops in the air. And I've got my headphones on because I'm listening to something. I'm kind of half in and out, dozing off. And I hear this thud behind me. And I normally you kind of like, you hear that kind of stuff and you're like, somebody dropped something. It's always a phone. Like those planes echo so bad, right? You drop a phone, it just
Everyone
echoes.
hears it.
Oh, everyone hears it, So it's like, it was loud enough that you could certainly hear it, but it wasn't like you jumped. Like, what was that? You're like, oh yeah, somebody just dropped something. Or one of the flight attendants, dropped a bottle of water or whatever. So, that happened, seconds went by, probably a minute, maybe 2. And I see the stewardess that was working in the front cabin. She starts walking towards the back, and she's got a bag in her hand. And I could hear her over my headphones. It's like, oh, are you okay? Sir, are you okay? So the guy next to me, now he's starting to lean up and over, kind of looking back. And he's a menacing figure, huge. I'm like, all right, something's probably going on. And keep in mind, this was right at the first uptick of COVID.
Okay.
Right? The first, they were starting to having national media posts about it, and they're like, hey, wash your hands, and all of this stuff. It was just ticking upward when I was coming back that trip, because the very next Monday is when we were all sent home. Like, hey, go home, work from home.
It's probably right in the middle
Yeah.
of
So that was Friday.
Wow.
Monday is when we were shuttled to the home office, and that's when we stopped working, right, or stopped traveling. So I turn, I see this guy look up, and you could see the look in his face like something's not right. So, I just kind of sat up in my chair and I turn around and look down the aisle, and there's a guy that's between coach and first class, and he's struggling to get up. He had collapsed, and he's white as a ghost. I mean, sheet white. And he's talking to the reception or the flight attendant, and he's got his hand on one of the backs of the first class seats, and he's trying to get up, and he's like, I don't know what happened. I've never felt like this. I think I just passed out. I'm okay. I just want to go back to my seat. And, the selfishness of my mind and probably what most people think, right? Again, COVID is just, COVID wasn't even the word, right? It was coronavirus, whatever, and you're like, oh, this is perfect. Yeah. And that's the first thing that hit my mind, right? Yeah. Oh, this is perfect. I'm coming out of Florida. Florida was starting to spike. I'm in a plane, and everyone's like, oh my God, don't fly. And this guy right here, I feel sorry for him, but he's got, how am I literally thought to myself, like if because she kept saying, oh, let me just bring you up to the front of the cabin. Let me take you to the restroom. And my mind instantly goes like, what do I do? Do I pull my, how do I, I'm thinking like, do I pull my shirt over my nose? I'm like, great. How do I prevent from getting this disease? And selfishly, now in retrospect, hindsight's 2020. I should have never had those thoughts, but you do. And so they got him up, and he was staggering around. They start walking him to the front of the plane, and they swing open the door to the lavatory, and he sits down. So the door's open this way. So I've got a clean shot into, what they're trying to do, and he's sitting on the restroom, and he's coherent. They're asking him questions like, hey, what's going on? And, did you have anything to eat? And he's like, no, I really, I've never felt this way. I haven't had anything yet today, but,
Which makes it even more kind of nervous.
Yeah,
makes
right.
You more nervous.
Yeah, right. And he's like, I really don't know what's going on. And, so you start to fidget in your seat. And they come across the which they've done. I've been on flights where they've asked for a doctor. Hey, is there a doctor on board kind of thing? So the flight attendant, came over, is there anybody, that's a doctor, EMT, EMS, on the plane? We have a passenger with the situation. Could you please come to the front? You hear ding, almost right away. Ding, somebody from way back, she comes walking up. The stewardess brings her up. And this young lady, maybe say in her 30s. She comes walking up and steps halfway into, the lavatory. Now, keep in mind, I'm in first class, but it's still pretty tight, right? Yeah. Like I can, let's say this is the seat next to me. So this is your aisle, maybe a little wider than that. That's not very wide, right? So you're literally sitting in the area where he was sitting on the toilet.
You got a front row seat.
Yeah, front row seat. Yeah. And you may be shifted like a foot that way, but that's how close it is, So I'm sitting here kind of like this, just watching this whole thing unfold. And again, in my mind, I'm going, "Oh, this is bad."
Oh yeah.
I'm done. Like I've got the virus or whatever. And so he's talking to him, and mid sentence he collapses.
What?
That's
flat out,
crazy.
Like mid sentence. And then things start to change real quick. Like your heart rate starts to increase, and your mind starts to go into react mode. What needs to happen here? Think about your football days and coaching. It's like somebody breaks their legs out on the field, like Mark's. It's not like, do I go out there, right? It's like go. How fast can you get out there? What can you do? So he just falls forward, completely collapses, and she scoops in to pick him up, and he's, I don't know, 6 foot maybe, not in bad shape. I'd say 200 pounds, but it's dead weight at that point in time.
Oh, yeah.
And she's trying to pull him out of the restroom, and she can't move him. So it was literally collapse. She's like, sir. And she's and she's falling backwards, and I just jumped. I grabbed my seatbelt and jumped off. I grabbed her and pulled her out of the way, and I just scooped him right up under his arms, and I stand him up, and I pulled him here, and he comes down this way, and I'm trying to get him out of the lavatory, and she's screaming, get him on the ground, cardiac arrest. And I'm like,
holy cow.
Yeah, so I'm pulling him out, and I'm twisting to put him down, And as I get him down, his head's going back towards the rest of the plane now, right? And the cockpit's up here. So I get him out, and I start to lay him down, and his legs because he kind of fell forward on his legs, and his legs were all curled up underneath him. And I literally couldn't, I had him here, and I couldn't get him out. And I said, if I break a leg, I break a leg.
Yeah, better than dying.
I reached down and I just pulled as hard as I could, and then dropped him on the ground. He no longer hit the ground. She was on top, compressions. I mean, like that. I mean, like automatic. And so instinct takes over, and you start counting. If you guys have ever been through CPR class, if you haven't, do it. There wasn't even a thought like, what do I do now? It was, she started hitting chest compressions, and I started counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she looks at me as I'm counting aloud, and she goes, "You over here now." Like, she wanted me on his head, because I was, at this time, I had his legs pulled out, so I was kind of kneeling at his feet, and, waist was here and chest was up there, and she was up here kind of sitting where my seat was, on the floor in front of my seat, because that was the only open area. And she was hitting chest compressions. So she literally is like, "You here now." And I'm like, so I jump, try to get over the top of him. Well, the other big dude that was sitting over here literally grabbed me and just did this. He was like, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I got down there, and she's then telling the flight attendant, get the AED, get the med kit. She's just rattling all this stuff off, which was interesting because the flight attendants were so rattled. It was like they didn't know how to respond. They were like, "What do you need?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need? What do you need?" And she was like, "Get the AED right now." So they brought the AED up, and when she let up, I went in. I'm like, "Okay, we'll just keep going." And I got, I think, to about compression 15, and then she pushed me out of the way because she had the AED starting to unwrap it, and she started in. Then he instantly came back. Like, the second she started hitting him with compressions again, he started to come around. His head, by this time, I was on my knees, legs tucked underneath me, and his head was right at the top of my kneecaps. And he starts, kind of moving around. He's like, "What's going on?" And she settles down a minute. She hands me the AD, and she's like, "Get this thing unpacked." So I break the seal, because there's a little zip tie seal on it. So I break that and open it up, and we're ready to use it if need be. And she starts talking to him. So things start to go in slow motion then, right? He's like, "I don't know what happened. Where am I at? What's going on?" And her first words, she says, "Sir, you were out. You went into cardiac arrest. Your heart stopped. We're trying to get you back. I need medical history right now. Like, do you have a heart problem? Have you ever had heart issues? Do you have a history of heart issues?" And he's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. I've nothing like that. I don't have blood sugar problems. I don't, nothing history from a doctor's perspective, and that's when you're like, okay, like, she just said his heart stopped. So your mind thinks like, did she really say that?
Yeah.
Or is it just the heat of the moment and intense, and he passed out, so she went directly into compressions, so you start second guessing, like, really? So as they're talking to him, the flight attendant that's working the front cabin then goes talk to the captain. She comes back, and she's like, "Hey, the captain needs to know what you want to do, with him." And she's like, "Where are we at?" And she's like, "We just passed over Dayton." And she goes, "Okay, we just passed over Cincinnati. Get us to Dayton now. Have the bus meet us at the gate." And she's like, "Okay, well, then we'll direct." So they slowed traffic down so we could go direct over Cincy straight into Dayton, which where we were going anyway. And so she looks back to, flight attendant. She goes, "Okay, this is what I need you to tell the captain to tell the bus that's waiting. Full cardiac arrest, heart stopped a minute, did chest compressions." At that time we gave him, not Advil, but aspirin. We gave him 250 milligrams of aspirin. We need a full cart when we get on the ground in case he codes out again. And then you're like, okay, that was serious.
Yeah.
Like, this really just happened,
Wow.
So she delivers that information. She comes back, and she's got this notepad, and she goes, "Okay." She goes, "Ma'am, can I get your information? The EMS squad, they need to know, kind of your information, doctor or whatever." She goes, "I'm employed by the United States Air Force as a flight medic, in the cardiac unit.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, dude, this guy picked the right flight
Yeah, he did.
to have a heart attack. We're talking about a United States Air Force flight medic that is in the cardiac unit that just brought you back to life.
That is awesome.
You know, so you're sitting there going, holy smokes.
What are the odds?
Yeah, like that was legit. So as she's saying that information, you know, the flight attendant looks at me and she goes, I was sitting in 1C. She goes, you're 1C. I'm like, yeah. She goes, I got your information. Because they all, you know, from a first class, they know right away. She goes, I've got your information. I don't need it. I'm like, yeah, I'm nobody. Anyway, you know what I mean? I can do CPR. I'm licensed for it, but that's it. So the flight medic then looked at me and she's like, you know, she goes, we're going into this training, this exact training tomorrow at RIPAT. She goes, it's just ironic how this thing kind of unfolded. Like literally tomorrow we're going into this type of training. I'm like, well, on the job training, I guess. And she kinda
What are the odds?
Yeah. And this guy was coming around, you know, he's starting to ask questions and, you know, it was kind of crazy. No kids. He was married, and he was just like, I just want to talk to my wife. Like the whole time when he started to come around, and, you know, so he kind of settles in like how precious life is because that's all he could think about. Like, I just want to be able to talk to my wife. You know, can I send her a text message? Can I give her a call? So they allowed him to communicate on his phone, and, you know, she met him there, you know, at the gate. When we got there, they had everyone there. And the funny thing was when we got finally to the gate, it was the quickest time that I can remember landing on the tarmac to the gate. I mean, it was like, get there right now.
No taxiing around.
Yeah, it was no jacking around, no stopping. It was land, full stop at the gate. And at that time, I still had him, like, I positioned myself up underneath him. I took his head and put it on my lap. So granted, for the last 20 minutes, I'm sitting on my legs with my legs behind me. From kneecaps down, completely numb.
Just
Completely numb. So the paramedics come in, and, you know, he's coherent, he's talking, he's still laying in my lap. She's giving him the download. This is what happened. This is what we did, so on and so forth. The paramedic's like, okay, hey, can we set you up real slow? Because at that point in time, there's no way they could get, you know, a gurney or get him moving. So, you know, she and I helped him set him up, you know, and then they picked him up from there, turned him around, put him on the gurney or whatever you want to call it, and took him out of the plane. So I'm still on my knees, and she looks at me and she's like, your feet are falling apart. And I said, yeah, my whole legs are falling asleep, you know? And she's like, okay. She goes, she looked at the two big guys. She's like, we're going to have to help him up. And they're like, no problem. Literally grabbed both my arms and stood me straight up. And my legs they were numb. They just dropped. You know, and I had no control. My legs just dropped. And they set me on the edge of my seat. And I sat there for probably another 2 minutes, you know, as the captain was talking to the rest of the group and people were getting their luggage out. And, you know, because they still had the gurney in the breezeway there. They really hadn't moved them, so we couldn't deplane. You know, finally my feet and my senses all came back to me, and I grabbed my backpack. And on the back of my backpack, I have a whole ton of patches from, you know, all over the world that people have given me. And I have two patches, one that are really special, one that was given to me by Doug Ayers, who's the fire chief out of St. Mary's for St. Mary's Fire. And then, of course, we train a lot of the Celina firefighters. So I have a Celina firefighter patch on there. So two big patches right there, right? And then I had a CrossFit Crave coach's jacket on, you know, the whole time I was on the floor, you know. So she and they start releasing a plane. She had her daughter, who was, I'm going to say her daughter was in her teens, young teens, 13, 14 years old. They bring her up, you know, and they get all the stuff, and they let us get off the plane. Well, we just go, like, we didn't think anything of it. Like, we just go straight down to luggage. I had luggage I had to pick up, grab her luggage, and out the door we went. And when I got to my car finally, or my truck, you know, things started to settle down, reality, you know, emotions. And, you know, I called my wife and I'm like, I said, Jen, you'll never believe this. And I was shaking at that point in time because you just, you know.
Time starts moving normal and everything.
Yeah. And you're like, well, did that just really happen?
Yeah.
Adrenaline starts going down.
Yeah. Right. So so I'm driving home and I'm talking to Jen, and she's like, "Oh my God, you got to check out Facebook." And I'm like, "What do you mean you got to check out Facebook?" So people were on their phones when we're administering CPR and doing all this stuff, right? And I've got a coach's jack shirt on that plainly says coach on the back of it. My backpack has 2 fire patches on it, right? Somebody put in the Delta Airlines, put something, and I've got it saved. It says something like 2 heroes save man from cardiac arrest on Delta flight into Dayton. One is a United States Air Force medic, and the other is a volunteer firefighter and coach. And I'm like, no, instant fear. Like, I'm not a volunteer firefighter. Like, no, so then you're going like, you're taking gratitude when it's not.
Yeah.
So I instantly get mad. I'm like, no, that's not right. Like, they have to take that off.
Yeah.
So I hang up with her and I message the individual that puts it on Facebook, and I have no idea who this dude is. They actually tagged CrossFit Crave, and that's how they found my name, because this dude started, CrossFit Crave. He's got a CrossFit Crave shirt. So that's how they found who to tag in these posts. So I messaged this guy right away. I'm like, listen, I appreciate the post, but give her the accolades. I'm not a volunteer firefighter. I'm CPR certified. I'm just a normal individual that was in the right place that could help. If there's any gratitude, it should go to the young lady that, is in the United States Air Force fighting for our country. That's who saved. So he responded really, really quick, and he's like, okay, cool, man. I changed the post, no problem. You got to know that Delta was looking for both of you individuals, because they wanted to, one, thank you for saving that individual's life, and they wanted to talk to you about, how it went. So just know that they're going to be trying to contact you. So
that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. When you leave that,
that's a wild story.
Yeah. So that was the wildest thing on a flight that's ever happened to me.
That's a nice way to enter COVID. Last flight.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Last flight, and I've not been on a plane since.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of cool.
That's crazy. I know my dad was supposed to go to China.
Yeah.
And obviously that got shut down pretty fast.
Yeah.
He was supposed to travel to China. And he's told me a bunch of crazy stories. So like when he goes to China, he said he walks down like these the marketplaces and stuff, and the markets actually have people hired to go out there and basically like beg you and like pull you in to their thing and like buy our stuff, and yanking you in.
Yeah.
And he said one time they actually went down. He had a bunch of guides and stuff. He went down and like underground almost. And he said people literally like it was underground, and there's like no one there. Like what? Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people there. There's no like guards or anything.
Yeah.
People literally grabbed him, yanked him into their stores and stuff, and were like literally like pulling and grabbing at his money and stuff, and they're trying to get him. Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And he says we're getting out of here. We got to get out of here. China was weird.
Yep. There's some certainly. Probably the unsafest I've ever felt was traveling in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Where it's
see that.
Really, really dangerous down there. It's
close
just
to the favelas.
Yeah, it is really bad.
Really?
Yeah, same thing with your dad. Like when they pick you when you travel international in an area like that where it's unsafe, they typically have a driver that picks you up at the airport. And my first trip down there, the driver picked us up, and the windows were bulletproof. So I'm tapping on the window, and I'm looking at a driver. I'm like, and he goes, "Yeah, you can't roll that down, because it's bulletproof." And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's what they do in Brazil, Sao Paulo at least, is there's traffic is so bad you could be stopped at a stoplight for 10 or 15 minutes and just edging along. So you could literally get stopped in traffic, and you're sitting there, as you inch up to the light to go for 15 minutes. And the motorcycle traffic outweighs the car traffic like 10-1. Constantly zoom, zoom, zoom. And what these guys do is they will literally, if you're stopped in a line of traffic, they will literally roll up to you, knock on the window with your guns, and demand everything you got. And if you don't hand it over, they just shoot, because there is hardly any murder crime that is punished because they can't ever catch them. They're in helmets, They're on motorcycles, pop, pop, gone. And there you set. So that was, for me, that was the most unsafe that I've ever felt. Yeah. When you're sitting in the car, you don't wear anything out. You take your rings off. You don't pull your laptops out. You typically leave your phone behind in the hotel. It's like minimalistic, because they're looking for that guy that's got that, that foreigner that's got that flashy watch or flashy ring, and that's the one they look after. So, when you're stopped there, you're looking at your rearview mirror, almost constantly looking in the mirror to see is that guy going to stop? Is that guy going to stop? It's
that
pretty
would
much
be
nonstop.
sketchy.
That's a crazy way to live.
Yeah.
Think about those drivers, and they're doing that as a career.
Yep.
Risky.
Exactly.
It's amazing the difference between another country and us, and a lot of people are oblivious to that. They have no idea that stuff happens at all. Like, they're just like, we're actually worse than them. But no, there's some crazy stuff in this world.
Absolutely. Yeah. I say this all the time too. We work with the probationary kids and, the people that come in and out of CrossFit Crave. We're fortunate to live, although if you listen to the media, right, they wouldn't let you believe that.
Yeah.
But we are fortunate to live in the country we live today and have the freedoms of everything that we have today. You go into some of these Central and South American countries, and then you travel overseas. It's not that way. It's just not. And I go back to the story of when COVID first came in and we started shutting things down, right? And some of your privileges were taken away from you, from some of your freedoms, your restaurants, freedom to go to restaurants. Some of that stuff was taken. So for the first time in my lifetime, and I think first time in probably American history, some of those liberal freedoms that we have were taken from us. And people were uncomfortable with that. So they lived with it for a couple of weeks.
Riots.
Right. Yeah. And then there was a revolt, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Live in any third world country. Go to Venezuela. Go to any of the Central and South American countries that aren't as free as ours. And that's the way they live all the time. So, I've seen it firsthand. Most of the American population has not. So they take that freedom, in my opinion, for granted in a lot of cases. Right? We have the freedom of religion, freedom of sexual preference. That's just not the case outside of the United States.
Most places outside the U.S.
That's right. That's right. So, I guess I see it on the other side. Is I'm thankful to live in the time that I live. I'm thankful to live in the country that I live, that I can come and go with the freedoms that I have today. Of course, if you break the law, you break the law, and you that should be punished. But it's pretty free here. Kids, we live in my opinion, a pretty sheltered life. Most of the population. There are instances, and we work with those kids all the time, that they've got a little rougher. I had a little rougher, bringing up. There were some things that were pretty traumatic happening in my life, right? So some of us have other things that we have to deal with. But all in all, if you give a little bit of effort, you can live pretty well without a lot of scrutiny here.
I agree.
And you couldn't do that at other places.
Well, absolutely.
So
it seems like you're into a lot of interesting things, Matt. With your work, not only just sales and that kind of thing, but you're really into CrossFit. You guys own the local CrossFit, and you've been doing that for close to like 10 years now.
10 years.
Right?
Yeah. We just had our 10-year anniversary in May. This past May.
Awesome.
Was
Congrats.
10 years.
I remember working out over there for the sports we were in high school. It was like, and that's when it was basically brand new. At least it felt like it. It's really come a long way.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
We've
grown.
From high school, you could have just had like a small little box.
Yeah.
And I walked in there probably a couple months ago and it was huge. I was like, holy cow, you guys got
I
nice
was
grass.
mind blown last time I went there.
Yeah.
It's grown quite substantially. And Ashley Ink, who started CrossFit 10 years ago, and we were some of the first ones in the door the first week. And for the first 6 months, we had like 5 people working out. Now we're 150 plus 10 years later, and it's a great community. It's a great family. But the outreach for me, at least, is the most important thing. We still have full-time jobs, and that's a passion. It's a hobby. It's a passion for me. and my wife and Debbie, and so it's more of an outreach, and that's why we have the Iron Will program, which is our special needs program. Special Olympic kids come in, and they train with us twice a week, and then we have our probationary class where if you're on probation in Mercer County, Monday through Thursday, you're at CrossFit from 3 to 4. It's mandatory class.
I didn't know that. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's a really good idea.
It's a great idea, and we've done that for 3 years now, and we've just seen the kids flourish in that environment.
Do those kids normally react to it positively?
Yeah, and it's crazy at first, and you see it every day almost. That you know when they walk in the door whether they've had a bad day or not. You can see it in their face. You can see it in their posture. And when we say bad day, we're not talking about, my day at work was tough or I got a bad grade at school. We're talking about physical and mental abuse, sexual abuse, drugs, both them and parents, and situations like I had where, my mother committed murder and she went to prison. These kids, that's what they see, right? Mm-hmm. So when we talk about bad days, that's the kind of bad day that they're coming in. So when they walk in the door, you notice it right away. But the environment that we've been able to create is that of, listen, you're going to work hard today. CrossFit's not easy, right? Mm-hmm. It's for anyone. It's just difficult. It's not easy. But you're going to be treated equally when you come in this door. From our coaches, their parole officers come in, they have to work out. If a parole officer is present, because the parole officers have to come with them for the program to work, they have to work out with them. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden the parole officer comes, it's a exchange of, this is not my parole officers who I'm reporting to. He or she is doing the same burpee that I'm doing.
That's awesome.
They're sweating the same amount. So there's all of a sudden it kind of levels the playing field. There's mutual respect, and the kids see that almost instantly.
That's awesome.
Almost out of the first class. They're like, wait, I'm treated differently here. Yeah, you should feel that you're treated differently. And our goal is, if you can prosper in our community in CrossFit, meaning you can get along with your neighbor, you can respect a coach's direction, you can do what's asked of you. If you can do that in here for this hour, you can do that in public for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And what we've seen is those kids, there's several instances where we've seen kids come in from a very rough background. They're with us 6 months or a year. Now they're off for probation. They've got full-time jobs. They've graduated high school. And they'll come back and go, yeah, it's because of the help and support that this community had gave them, along with the outstanding job the parole officers do, in and out of their lives. So it's
fantastic.
Yeah, it's an avenue for them to feel like I'm accepted and normal again. Mm-hmm. Most of those kids, think about the school setting. If you and I are in the same class and I'm on probation and you're not, and we do the same thing, and the teacher, we get caught by whatever we're doing, flipping our pencil, whatever, right? They're going to look at you and go, stop that. They're going to look at me because I'm already on probation. I probably have an ankle bracelet on. They're going to say, you need to go to the principal's office. Mm-hmm. So this, in their mind, the scrutiny level is just cranked up by 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone's constantly scrutinizing what I do. And when they come into CrossFit doors, we're not. Mm-hmm. You and I are just equals. This is the work we both have to complete today. So that's been the most success that we've seen, out of that program, outside of, our general population, general members coming in and getting a really great workout.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
That does sound awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's really fun.
For sure. I drive by there sometimes, and there's a lot of cars out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy cow! I didn't think that many people were gonna be showing up. How you said there's like 150 plus people who got there, like just normal.
Every day,
people out there,
normal moms and dads and grandmas, literally grandmas and grandpas, and
really
That's
young
pretty cool.
kids and kids back from high school, and we attract a crowd from quite a long range. We have 6 and 7 classes a day, depending on what.
Holy cow!
What
dude,
day
really?
it is.
How many coaches you guys have out there?
We have 16 coaches.
16. Wow, you guys definitely have grown since I've been out there.
Yep. 16 coaches.
Wow.
That divide our our classes up, and that's gives us the opportunity to have so many classes a day, and we can spread that. So our classes are in that. Let's call it. It could range from 10 to 15. Members per class, which is exactly what we need, and it's a good manageable class for us. Yeah, and then
Awesome.
we have Celina Gym and Cheer, which my wife and I, also own. And yeah, so there's a lot. There's not much free time.
Busy.
I thought you
in the
guys
days.
were selling the gym and cheer center right across from the high school, right?
Yeah, so that building sold, which is what we wanted originally. We knew we wanted to grow and expand out of that. Almost 15 years ago when Jen and I jumped into that business. So it finally sold. CrossFit right now, or Celina Gym and Cheer, is actually sitting behind CrossFit. So the back section of our building is now Celina Gym and Cheer.
Yeah.
And then we're going to grow and expand from there and build a building and so transition that over. So that was a long time in coming. The spot across from the high school was nice. It was just, it was 40 plus years old, and it was small, and we knew we wanted to expand. So
it's great.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the competitive nature of both CrossFit and gym and cheer.
Oh yeah.
Like it's one thing to me, I think, makes the workouts that much better. And I know you guys just had a big competition last weekend, maybe?
Yeah, this past Saturday, CrossFit competition.
And now, do people go from that and compete nationally then, or is that how it's...
Some do. It's interesting. Ours is just a little, hometown throwdown. This guy's from Costa Rica that's trying to call me right now. Yesterday is just a little, a little hometown kind of throwdown, if you will. So people came in from Columbus and Dayton and Lyman and around, but it was the first that we've ever hosted the competition of that magnitude. We've done stuff internally where you and I could partner up. We're both from Crave and we just have fun, and we pick a Saturday and we do fun stuff together, right? But this is the first time we've actually, it was
organized.
It was organized. You had to pay to enter. It was a team of 2, male, female. And it was we had our scale division in the morning and RX division in the afternoon, which scaled is for anyone. We can modify the workouts for a brand new CrossFitter. And we had some brand new people, just wanting to have fun and work out with somebody, and see what it's like to be in a competition. Think about when you guys were playing sports. That's the drive that they're looking for. That's the excitement. When you take that soccer field or basketball court or whatever it is, as you get my age, you miss that. And CrossFit gives that back to us. Every time that clock goes 3, 2, 1, go, it's on.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? In some level. So when you enter a competition like that, now you've just escalated that to the Friday Night Lights kind of aspect. Or if you played basketball, right before tip-off, right? Or if you played soccer right before we went out for that first kick. That's the kind of amp that you get when you're getting ready to compete, in a CrossFit competition, right?
Oh, yeah.
So those people want to do that. So we had, our bigger divisions, our RX division in the afternoon, and there were some stud and studettes that came. We're fortunate we have one athlete that she's 50 years old. She is a games competitor athlete. She finished 3rd in the world last year at the CrossFit Games.
Holy cow, did she really?
As a 50-year-old.
Wow.
In her 50 to 54 age bracket. And she trains with us every day, and she was, she had a great time on Saturday. She worked out with a partner and competed. So we have that level we have 2 individuals. One is 300 pounds. The other one is 500 pounds. And they're just trying to learn how to stand up off the ground or get up off the ground without aches and pains. So that's the level we can go to.
That's awesome.
So we train the elite of the elite, the 0.001 percenters, and that's where Dee Dee's at. And we train the everyday run-of-the-mill individual that is, I'm 500 pounds, and if I want to see my child graduate, I got to lose weight. And so that's the variance of people that we have that come in the doors.
If people want to sign up, how do they go about that?
You can go to the website, or you can call. Our phone number's on the website. You can call and just ask. What we typically do is we bring people in to a foundations class. Depending on your level, it's a couple of days, typically 3, where we just talk about health and nutrition. We talk about what CrossFit is. We go through human movement. How do you squat properly?
Yeah,
right.
That's big.
How do you deadlift properly without injury? So we go through there's 9 foundational movements that we cover in those foundation classes. And that gives us a scale of where you're at. So you'll never meet us where we're at. We'll always meet you where you're at.
I didn't know it was that personalized.
Yep. Yeah. It has to be.
Yeah.
So when they come in for their first official class, all of our coaches know you by name. They've seen your picture. We write up a profile. So as we go through that evaluation, our coaches are writing up a profile. Here's where they're at in their squat depth. Here's what they need to work on the most. Here's what they're really proficient at. They're really going to enjoy this part of it. They're really going to like running, or they're really not. Or running maybe not an option at all. So we got to find a rower or a bike. So we have all that written up. Our coaches all read that, and it's in our system. So when that individual comes to class, we automatically know XYZ is coming in. Okay, great. This is our workout for the day. I know right away that I'm going to modify these 2 movements for him or her because of their deficiencies. And I have, I'm 10 years in, I have deficiencies. So I look at the workout and go, well, I can't do a full squat snatch at, 210 pounds. Like, that's not going to happen. I'll do it at 95 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you look at that and you gauge it and scale it and kind of go from there.
Sounds awesome.
Wow. I honestly, I did not know you guys went that far on coaches. Like,
Yeah.
because when I first started, we just kind of went in and we
The
did our
whole
workouts,
yeah.
and that was about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys went that far, and you guys actually had those 3-day those bases and intros and got to know them. Because that is a lot of problem for people, like just getting that started, and they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do that, and it's almost scary because if you just throw them in into the thing, they're gonna be scared.
Yeah.
They're gonna be scared.
They won't succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's
And you guys
the
do that.
right thing to do. We encourage people, especially when they call. A lot of times we get the call, "Hey, I'm thinking about trying it." We're like, "Bring a friend." You're always bound to do something when you bring a friend with you, right? Because one, there's a little accountability there, and you suckered your friend into coming in, and just bring a friend and come to a Saturday. It's free, and come in and check out. And we'll modify and get you the workout, and then we'll talk about, here, this is what we do here at CrossFit, and this is why we feel it's so important for health and wellness long term. It's all flashy to talk about the high level competitors. That's great. That's not where our heart's at. I need that 500 pounder to get off the couch so he can see his daughter graduate high school, right? Because if they continue that way, the odds are they won't. Medical conditions, heart conditions, body's just not meant to live that way. So yeah, we try to meet every athlete where they're at, baby step them in, and then go from there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Take a quick break.
Yeah, we can take a quick break. Be back.
Yeah, right on.
All righty. We're back.
And we're back. Now, this is like CrossFit seems like it's kind of like it's popular, but it seems like it's got a lot of flack at the workouts that it's doing right now. Like a lot of powerlifting stuff really fast, and there's a lot of injuries and stuff like that.
For sure.
What do you kind of got to say about that? What's your kind of opinions on those kind of things?
Yeah, and that's I'm glad you brought that up because that's a point that we talk about consistently, and that's I'm going to get injured going into it because that's the stigma that runs with CrossFit. And you're right. You could get injured walking to your car.
Oh yeah.
Right. You could twist an ankle, fall off the curb or whatever. So what we really try to do is counteract that with just come in the door one time. You don't have to participate. Just watch a class and watch Chuck, one of our older athletes that's in his mid 60s, that has a pacemaker. Watch him come in and we get him through a workout. Right. So once you start to see that, and then you go through those foundations classes, it's irresponsible and there's some gyms out there that do that, whether you're a CrossFit or not, that allow their members just to do whatever they want, right? So it's irresponsible for us as coaches to allow you to come in and do a deadlift that you're not supposed to be doing. Like I would never ask you to come in and say, hey, there's 400 pounds on that bar. Let's see if you can deadlift it. 3, 2, 1, go. And not only do I want you to do it once, I want you to do it 10 times as fast as you can. That's just irresponsible, right? And it's not how we approach things. We're going to look at one is your form, right? There's 3 things we talk about. First is form.
Which is huge.
Yep. Form and technique, right? And then it's consistency. Do you have that same form and technique over a consistent amount of reps? 2, 5, 100, whatever that is. And then if you can maintain that form through consistency over a certain amount of reps, then we can add intensity. Okay? Intensity comes in a lot of different forms. Could be more weight, could be a longer workout, could be a higher rep scheme, more complex movements, like a squat snatch versus a power snatch, Olympic movement, right? So until you have form and technique, you'll never have the consistency. Once you have the form and technique, now we work towards consistency. And you may be using a PVC pipe, right, for 6 months, and that's okay. I can guarantee you today, any you three that would come in, I can put you on the floor in a puddle of sweat with a PVC pipe inside of 10 minutes.
I could tell.
I believe it.
I believe you.
Yeah.
So that's how you work through form and technique, and you get consistent at it, right? And then when you're ready, you can add intensity, and that's what our coaches are responsible for. What scares me the most is you have the open forums where they go into a gym that's they got their own key, they can go in anytime, it's 24/7, and they go in going, well, I'm not sure what to do today. So they say, well, I'm going to go back squat. We're working with the Mars Foundation. Matter of fact, we had a meeting with them today. They just started, they put a gym in the Mars Foundation. And, one of their house leads came over and he's also a CrossFit athlete. He doesn't have his coaching at L1. He's like, hey, he goes, I had to stop a young man that was trying to max out on a 300-pound squat. He unracked it. He starts to squat. His knees are together and he's leaning forward.
Ooh.
And he's like, stop right now. So that's what scares me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, the lack of guidance and the lack of control of these locations. So you can say, yeah, CrossFit's got a bad rep. Just come in my doors one time. And if you have a bad experience, then I'll work on that. Let me know, talk to me directly, and we'll fix that. But I can guarantee you that the control, the coaching that you're going to get you're just not going to get it anywhere else if you go into a location where you've got your own key and nobody's there to help support you. Because you're going to get in that situation where you're probably not doing the form right, and that's how you get injured.
Well, it's kind of weird, too, because I always thought, again, CrossFit was it was really, it is individual, but it was always a community of pumping people up, going as a group and doing a workout together. I never really thought that someone would have just an individual, just, all right, you can go in there whenever you want and work out kind of thing.
Yeah, so CrossFit started, when CrossFit was founded in 2001, it was founded by a trainer that said, hey, I'm doing individualized training. And that's what it was, literally a one-on-one training session. But his methodology was different than anything else you could go after, right? So he was taking bodybuilding. He was taking Olympic weightlifting. He was taking gymnastics. He was taking your traditional cardio, running, box jumping, jump roping, rowing, biking. And he was mixing all of those modalities together in a very short, intense workout. And people were like, wow, I'm seeing major results really, really quickly. I'm getting strong and I'm getting fast, right? So his clientele grew to the point where there's just not enough hours in the day. I can't fit another client in this 12-hour workday that I'm working now. So he's like, okay, I'm going to have these two people come in together because, they seem to like each other and they're pretty similar from a comparative spectrum on an athletic per se, right? So they started doing classes of 2. Individualized training with a class of 2. And then that grew to class of 3. And that's what sparked the growth of CrossFit, because I can do individualized training because you're going to be at a different level than you, than me, than yourself. So we're all going to deadlift today, guys. I'm going to use a PVC pipe because I'm at the level where I need 2 boxes set out, and I'm going to lay the PVC pipe on the box so it's about mid-shin, and I'm going to show you how to bend over and pick it up. And the PVC pipe's, less than a pound, right? You're going to do it at 300, you're at 350, and you're at 400. We're all doing the same movement. It's individualized per your athletic ability, and we're still going to get a great workout in. So what we always try to tell people is think about when you walk in our doors, it's a whiteboard. Wipe the whiteboard clean, because you don't have to think about, am I doing chest and buys today, or I'm doing back and tries, or what does that even mean? How much cardio do I need to get in today? I don't know any of that, right? It's a clean slate. We'll coach you from start to finish. There's never a point in time when you walk in the doors and you're working out, there's not a coach hovering, saying, hey, you're doing that right. You look really good there. You need to take some weight off, right? Your form is starting to go. Late in the workout, high rep scheme. Probably shouldn't do that with 135. You may need 95 pounds. Just stay safe. So let's pull the weight off. So that's the responsibility of the coach. And that's, kind of how we approach, every class when somebody comes in. Wipe the slate clean. Let us take you from the beginning of the hour to the end of the hour. And then if you want extra work, well, then we've got a competitive program. You can jump into extra work if that's what you want to do.
Jacob, I feel like you and I might have had a warped experience just because, one, when we were going, it was just starting off, and it was a huge group. I mean, it was like all the football players, all the basketball players, some of the soccer and other sports.
Sure.
So that's a lot to manage.
There's no doubt.
I can understand when I was going through it, it seemed a little, I was uncomfortable with it because I wasn't in as good a shape as some of these other guys, and it felt a little.
Our philosophy and our, as you guys, anything you do and you do consistently, you learn from, right? And you develop that learning, and you grow your program, you grow how your approach is, you grow how you start to bring people in, and that's what we've done. It's from 8 years ago to today, it's completely different when you walk in the door. From 10 years ago, certainly different, right? I think I threw up the first 6 weeks of trying to CrossFit like every single day because it was bath by fire, and it was just, hey, this is what we do. Let's go. It's much more refined now, down to the individual level. So it's a much different experience.
Awesome. Do you have you gone to one of the games, like the big games?
Yep, we've gone. They didn't have them this year. They have not had them yet because of COVID. We've gone for the last 7 years now.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah, my wife and I. I'm trying to think back. We started going when they were still in Southern California, Carson, and then they transitioned from Carson to Madison, Wisconsin. So yeah, we've gone. This would have been our coming on 8th year of going to the games and watching.
Do you have favorite athletes?
Do what?
Do you have favorite athletes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, just like any sport, you have those athletes you kind of follow and you talk to. And the cool thing about CrossFit is it's in our world it's big, but realistically, in the professional realm, it's a speck. It's tiny. So those professional athletes you follow and you like the Rich Fronings and some of the bigger names, the Matt Frasers, we've had personal conversations with them. Like we've camped beside the Froning family. Last
That's
year,
really cool.
Rich stayed in the campgrounds, and his daughter would run over and and hang out at our camp. So you develop friends, where realistically in a professional, you wouldn't develop that kind of friendship with a Browns player. You just most of us in the world wouldn't have that connectivity to the individuals, but CrossFit gives you that avenue that they're just like you and I.
But those guys are beasts.
Yeah, they're beasts. There's no question.
Jeez,
but it's cool. You can hang out. They can go on the competition floor, and win, $1 million prize, and then come right back out to the campground and say, "Hey, man, what's up?" Where you wouldn't see that. And unfortunately, in the professional sports you visit today, they'd be like, "Do you want my autograph?" "No, I don't want your autograph." Kind of thing. So,
can you send people to the games? Like, do you guys hold your own regionals or whatever?
No. So the way CrossFit, the path to get to the games, right, is there's an open forum. They call it the Open every year. So anyone in the world can compete in the Open, and it's 5 weeks. That starts in mid to late February. So each week, CrossFit H Crew, Dave Castro and his team, they send out a workout. They send that out on Thursday night. So you have from Thursday to Monday to submit your best score. Do that workout once, 5 times a day, whatever. Submit your best score. So each of the CrossFit affiliates then, what we have is what we call our Friday Night Lights. So starting in mid-February, on Friday night at 6 o'clock, we set up the workout. We have a potluck, and all of our member base come in, and they throw down on the workout, right? It's fun. It's a community. You know, the kids, after we're done working out, it takes about 2 hours to get everyone filtered through, you know, the workout. Everyone just hangs out. Like literally we'll have families there at midnight and their kids are just running crazy in the gym, you know, so that communal aspect. So through that series of 5 weeks of the Open, you submit your scores, and then that's how the field is set for the CrossFit Games. So you look at the 300,000 people that submitted scores. And now they've changed a little bit since regionals, the way it is now. The top 20 that submitted the top 20 score, male and female in the Open, they get automatically invited to the CrossFit Games. Okay. So out of the 300,000 people, if you finish top 20 male and top 20 female, you've got an automatic bid to the CrossFit Games. Automatically, sealed your deal. They've expanded how they've done what we used to be called regionals. Think about baseball. You go to, you know, regional, state, finals, all of that, right? Mm-hmm. So similar concept. They've kind of gone away from regionals where they've had these now, they call them sanctionals. They're 19 large events across the United States, Dubai, Florida, all over, where they invite these top level athletes in. You can also qualify for that. So I could qualify to try to go to the games, you know, their competition in India if I wanted to, whatever. And then out of that, they take the top male and female athlete that won that individual event and they invite them to the games. So that's another path. Okay, so you got the top 20 in the world, male and female. And then you got the top result finishers, male and female, out of all of these competitions across the United States. I think there's 19 of them now. And then they have in-country competitors. So through the Open, if you're the top, I think it's top three in the U.S., male and female, you automatically get a bid. Each country has its own. So like the Olympics, you can represent your country if you're in a very small country, you know, in the middle of nowhere, and you've got one CrossFit gym, and you've got 5 people in that country that CrossFit, and you finish in the top 3 of those 5 people, you're going to get an invite to the CrossFit Games.
There's a chance I could get an invite then.
Yeah. So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah. So you got to find the country where you can
Ethiopia.
go compete. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the way they do it. So you can come and represent if you're in that top, you know, tier of your country and you competed. So now there's a many different avenues to get to, you know, what is the CrossFit Games. And then now, like 2 years ago, I guess it was last year now, they, you know, all the countries are there. There were, I think day one, it's a 5-day festival or 4-day festival. So you have events on 4 consecutive days where you're working out. I think there were 300 plus athletes.
Wow.
Both male and female, right? That they had to, you're looking for the top male and the top female. Now there's teams as well, and that's a whole different side of it. But just individuals, there's 300 plus people, and you're trying to find the top male and top female, and you got 4 days to do that. So the first workout, they cut half the field. First, right out of the gate. So you could come from Ethiopia, fly your flag, right? And the first workout that last year was it was a 400-meter run. It was, I think it was like 135 pound squat snatch, and maybe it was by 10. So you had to do 10 135 pound squat snatches and a rope climb, something like that. So you ran, you came in, you climbed a rope. I think it was like 5 rope climbs. So 400-meter run, 5 rope climbs, 10 squat snatches at 135 for the men, 5 rounds. 3, 2, 1, go. Half the field gone. I mean, literally, at the end of that, they said, listen, if you're in the top half, you get to go to the next workout. Mm-hmm. If you're not, awesome.
Do any of these top athletes ever miss that? I feel like it'd be so competitive.
Extremely competitive. Mm-hmm. So what they found is the top, the bottom half, you kind of knew right away. Mm-hmm. You're like, thanks for coming. You know, there's just not that much competition in the area you're coming from, and you're not the elite of the elite. The next workout, they cut another third, and then going into the final 3 days, the first workout in the final 3 days, they had, I think they had 25 athletes. So let's say they had 25 male and 25 female. I could be off on the number, but that was around that range. So they went from the 300 down to 25 males and 25 females. And they literally said, okay, we're going to cut to 10. So we're going to take 10 people into the last 2 days.
Boy.
So now you're talking the elite. When you're in that top 25, these people, that's all they do.
Yeah.
They work out for a living.
And they're relatively famous for it too.
Exactly. They're paid sponsorships. You know, some of them own gyms like CrossFit gyms, but that's not their income. They're getting paid by Nike. They're getting paid by Reebok. All of these, Colgate, all of these people that have picked up these sponsorships in the top 25. And literally, Dave come and said, we're cutting the field to 10, and here's the workout.
Has there been like a random person that's just like, no, probably not.
Nope.
Yeah.
There's a next level in things. Like I was talking with Roman about, he's a real big cycler.
Yeah.
He spends a ridiculous amount of time, probably like 3 hours a day cycling.
No question.
Yeah, and he's not even close to elite. Like and
that's right.
He says these guys really do take it to the next level.
Yeah, it's amazing, and he's absolutely right. And those ones that are in that, when you look at the top 10, you know, you could pick or choose one or two people out of the top 25. You're like, oh man, I'm really surprised they're not in it. But when you get to the top 5, you know, you're like, yeah. Like that was a no-brainer. Like you could have just handpicked that and said, you're moving on to the top 5. But to the individual you just talked about, I've never been around a caliber athlete like that. Outside of, you know, arm's reach, you see him at the games, but you're not in their inner circle. Like you don't see them work out. You don't see them train. You don't see their mindset every day. You see them on video, and you get to see them in person every once in a while. And from a distance, you're like, wow, that's cool. But the now that we have the individual that we have in our gym, that I see her train, I take care of her training every day. When they say those individuals, whether it's cycling or professional golf, any professional sport, you know, they're the top 0.001% of the population of people that want to try that sport, right? CrossFit's no different. So when you see them on a day-to-day basis, how they go about. Now, this individual was she was a high school gymnast, right? She was a gymnast at Ohio State, okay? So from a very young age, the level of competition, of precise competition.
And gymnastics is crazy.
Was groomed,
Those
right?
are strong women right there.
So to see that inner circle of that 0.001%, it's boggled my mind. I've never been around that consistently ever in my life, and I probably never will get that chance again. And to see that work ethic every single day, there's things like recovery time. So when you're at that elite level and you pour yourself into a workout and you're flat on the ground, right? You've just done something extremely hard. You've done it for 30 minutes and you're wiped out. Like you couldn't move again. To see her in 5 or 10 minutes, stand up, recover, put things away, and look around like, okay, what's next? Where some of the people that you think are really, really good that worked out with her, right beside of her, doing sometimes her weight, you know, are still doing that. I can't get up yet phase. You know, they're in a puddle of sweat going, yeah, I'm going to go throw up somewhere. The recovery rate, and I'm sure the individual that you talked about is the same way. Like some of that is just God-given genetics.
And there is,
you know what I mean?
That aspect to it. I was going to ask the body types of the people who compete real well. They're probably similar.
Yeah, no question about it. Yep, it's just a different level that I don't think you could train to get to. Some people just have it. Some people have it and they don't even know you know what I mean? They've not experienced, they've not gotten into the right sport or the right, you know, whether it's chess or whatever they've just not gotten to that point where they could be a genius or they could be extremely athletic.
It's also a crazy commitment though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because you got to think too. I mean, they're working out. Their diet is probably crazy strict. They're sleeping like they got everything planned out to a T, probably.
No
and
question.
It's like insane.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah,
it's
it
not
has to be.
lifestyle.
It has to be.
And a lot of those people are a little off.
Yeah.
They're like, they
Yeah.
have some weird mental stuff going on.
Yeah, they have to be. They get themselves to that
To the best
that
of the
level.
best. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool. It's fun.
It's a good thing to see.
I'll never get there.
You're too busy, man. You got too much going on.
I know exactly.
I was wondering a bit, we talk a lot about CrossFit, but on as far as the business side of things, I mean, it sounds like you really do want to help people, but there is a business aspect to that, and even the gym and all that. So how do you balance that?
Yeah. It would be, I had this conversation just today with the individual that came over from the Marsh Foundation, is for us, I have a full-time job. Like I enjoy it. And I work for Crown. I really enjoy working for that company. My passion is CrossFit. So we take, and my wife and then Debbie Wagner, and we take, it's a little different for us because we're not reliant on that income to provide for our family. It's not putting a roof over our heads. Same thing with Celina Gym and Cheer. So everything that, from a business perspective, that we come in goes right back into the business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So if that were to change, where now all of a sudden I'm reliant on that, then my perspective would change, and it would become more of a job, and that's not what I want it to be. So I think all CrossFitters or all CrossFit box owners go into it with the same passion. I want to help someone. I want to help you get off the couch. I want to help you in your healthy lifestyle so you can play with your kids and your grandkids and so on. We're fortunate that we don't have to worry as much about that business paying the bills for us because we know that we're financially secured because we have other means of providing for our family. So we can turn that right back into building community. What do we need for our Iron Will team? Let's go out and make sure we have enough equipment for them, the right equipment for them, their special needs. We need to make sure we're set up for them. The probation kids, do we need, shoes for them? Yeah, let's get them shoes, that kind of thing. So our perspective is a little bit different, but from a balance, we're busy.
I believe it.
Both my wife and I.
Thanks for taking the time to come here.
Yep. But there's a balance you have to, and I think in some cases, unfortunately, our kids have probably paid for some of that just because we've run pretty strong, even when the kids were young, growing up. So we would go from work to business to football practice to business again. You know what I mean? And then start that up. So there were times where, we were stretched pretty thin where we had to miss things, and that's just part of it. So they probably paid the hard price when they were younger, but hopefully it gave them the mindset of, okay, listen, this is what it takes to be stable. This is the drive it takes to really make something of yourself, to really take that next step and say, yeah, I can provide for myself. I can come from the background that I came from, which fortunately I had family that helped me and supported me, but there's a lot of terrible things that happened when I was young, right? You can dig yourself out of that. It just may take a little extra work. And I hope our kids see that, and live through that process. But it's not easy. It's a lot of work, that's for sure. Well, it's a great question.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
Yeah, no, we enjoy it for sure. It's a passion. We like it a lot.
Yeah, I had no idea that you guys did that whole probation thing and everything. That's pretty sweet. I think.
It's fun. Yeah,
because it just gives people purpose.
Yep. Yeah,
People
gives
like
those
that
kids purpose, and they see it. And
do you work? You said you work out twice a day.
Depending on the day.
Depending on the day.
Yeah.
What's your sort of working out schedule like? What's your kind of schedule throughout the day? Sort of.
Yeah. So normally on a normal day, it's just I go in for the hour workout, and you get done whatever workout we have programmed for that day for just our general population. You, me, everyone else that just goes in. Hey, I'm here for an hour. I want to get a great workout in. What happens then is because we have some of that, I'll call them the guys and girls that are more competitive. They want to do CrossFit Games. They want to go compete somewhere. They want that extra work. You couldn't, the dedication we talked about before, the hours of work you put in, you couldn't come in for an hour and get there. Like that's, you can be genetically gifted, but you got to put more than an hour's work in order to compete on the level that some of those athletes compete. So they'll come in early or stay late, and they'll hit the extra stuff. So they'll go through the standard class with everyone, and then we'll have extra conditioning on top of that. And then we'll have extra strength work. We'll perfect our clean and jerk. We'll perfect a gymnastics movement. Like they were all swimming today. Swimming is, a part of the game. So
cool.
Today
they do swimming.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you guys swim at?
Around. We either go to a pool, we go to somebody's house, their pond. We try to do open swims. Yeah. Next week we're renting the Celina pool for an hour, so we can do 500-meter time trials. So that's the extra work. So what happens is I get drug into some of those, So it's like you get your workout in and like, oh, you need to do this conditioning. I'm like, okay. So you jump into that extra conditioning. Now, nowhere near the level, that they're doing it, but that's where some of the extra work comes in. Or, you work on different things that you're inefficient at. So you get the normal workout. I really like gymnastics work, so I like to do ring muscle-ups and bar muscle-ups and pull-ups and handstand and handstand walks. So I'll practice that. So you could consider that, well, that's your second workout. And for me, it's just perfecting, something that I'm either good at and I want to continue to be good at, or like an Olympic lifting movement, the snatch, where I'm terrible at it. And I need to work in order to improve that. So I put the extra work in. So I may spend another 15 or 20 minutes. That's not really a workout. It's more, to me, I'm developing a skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it could be a workout. If you, from the outside in, you're like, oh man, you're doing something else. Yeah, you could consider that a workout. So that's what it is. But so for the normal, CrossFitter every day, you just want to get up and be healthy tomorrow. It's come in an hour and you hit that one workout, and you do that 4 or 5 days a week, and you're set.
You're gonna be feeling good.
Yep.
Sore, but good.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
Do you follow any like diet plans or
on and off?
On and off.
It's really dependent on kind of where you're at. There's so many.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone has their like niche. Oh, you got to do this and you got to do that.
Got to be keto. You got to be carnivore. You got to be vegan. You got to be everything.
Right. Everything. Like you can't be all of those things.
Oh yeah.
And you can't be in my opinion, you can't be any one of those things. I try to keep it really, really simple. Like meats and vegetables. Stay away from fried food. So meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds. Some starch, think about the potatoes or the sweet potatoes, some starch, some brown rice, that kind of thing. Try to stay away from sugar.
Oh, yeah.
So have your fruit, let that be and then sugar is your nemesis. I mean, that's the cocaine that is legalized.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's the truth.
Sugar is real
so
bad for it.
Whatever you follow, find something that you feel good and you can maintain and you can still perform and you're not getting drugged down or tired. Whatever that is. Keto, vegan, who cares? Find something that works for you. Stay away from sugar.
I agree completely.
You know what I mean?
Oh
We've
yeah.
had the diet debate on here a couple different times. That's probably the best answer I've had so far.
It's just
I hate sugar. I mean, I love sugar, but I want to hate it just because it's
addicting.
Oh yeah.
I always say you got to enjoy life sometimes. Like I limit my sugar intake a bunch, but if I want a damn cookie, I'm gonna eat a cookie. Give me a cookie.
Yeah. Mine is Saturday night. So we'll get a pizza on Saturday from the wine store because or they have a restaurant in the hometown. It's called Pizza 101. They have a cauliflower crust pizza. It's to die for.
What's this? Where's this place?
It's called Pizza 101. It's in Columbus Grove.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the wine store. Like best pizza ever, right? Until I had that pizza. And you're like, holy smokes, that's good. So Saturday night, pizza, and my dad makes the best homemade ice cream.
Oh yeah.
like not just a bowl, like a bowl, like a man's bowl.
Yeah. Which that's even, I think, is better than just like the real processed sugar.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
stuff I just completely stay away from, like candy and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Had a Snickers today. It was awesome.
There you go. Yeah.
Peanuts in there. It was healthy, dude.
There you
swear.
Get your nuts in.
They cancel each other out.
Yeah, that's right. Then you do a little workout, and then you can have more. It's all good.
You got it.
But
Man, yeah. There's a lot of people that actually do that, like they eat a Snickers bar, like, yeah, this is like my fuel for the day. I'm like, ooh, that's not a good idea.
You can never outwork a bad diet.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen.
It's funny.
I always like say it's like 80% diet, 20% working out.
I agree. 100%.
It's like filling that car up. You're not going to fill it up with just corn syrup.
No.
You got to
you're
fill
not.
it up with some good gas.
Yeah, sucrose or something.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
not going to get you far.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's showing now these days, like just people how unhealthy people are and people getting sick, and like it really shows on what we're eating right now.
Yeah.
But
COVID is I think that's the biggest exposure of unhealthy eating and unhealthy diets. And it's, if you're immune compromised, like you should really be seriously worried about this COVID-19 if you're immune compromised.
Yeah.
And that's who it's mainly affecting too.
100%.
That's what it's almost the real epidemic is just obesity and just the unhealthy eating and not moving at all.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one of CrossFit's their biggest push in the world of CrossFit outside of just being healthy is that chronic disease. Like you can cure chronic disease, type 2 diabetes, you name it. If you eat properly and you exercise, guess what? Give that enough time.
Goes away.
It'll fix itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
I know a person, I'm not going to name his name, but I know a person who has diabetes and he manages it all through his eating.
Absolutely.
Doesn't do anything else, manages all through his eating.
eating.
He works out and he's like, I love it.
Yep.
I'm not dependent on things.
Yep.
I can live and it's awesome.
Yep. 99% of the people that are dying of of COVID are immune compromised. And why is that? It's because of our lifestyle.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's why it's so important to find a gym, find something. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. Find something that will get you off the couch, will get you eating properly, will get you moving, ride a bike.
Go
do
walk your
anything.
dog.
Yeah, walk
Go
your dog.
walk.
Go play golf. Do something that you're not sitting on the couch watching TV, throwing Doritos. I don't care what it doesn't have to be CrossFit. Go find something.
If it's
that
CrossFit,
you
that's
enjoy.
great though.
That's great. But it doesn't have to be.
Oh, yeah.
Just go find something, and then we can cure this chronic disease issue, and all of our insurance rates come down.
I wonder if the whole thing will actually help society shift that way.
I hope
Highlight
so.
importance. For me personally, it seems like a lot of people I'm around in my life are moving, and it seems like everyone's trying to get healthier.
Yeah.
And I hopefully that's real and that's actually widespread.
I hope so. One of the things that I've noticed, and we talked about the podcast I did in Dayton with Dr. Libby Wilson. Libby Proch was her maiden name. She's from around this area originally. So she had a practice in Springfield, 2,500 patients, family practitioner, going in every day, spending 15 minutes with the patient, checking the insurance boxes. What's your ailment? Here's the prescription. Diabetic? Yep. Here's the prescription. Overweight? Yep. Thyroid problem? Yep. Here's your prescription. She's also a CrossFitter. She's also a CrossFit coach. And she's like, enough is enough. I went to school for 15 years to help people live, not to live off of what an insurance guy tells me I have to do so I don't get sued for malpractice and so I can continue to get lower rates for prescriptions and I can see 30 patients in a day. So she walked away from it and she changed her entire practice. She's now a functional medicine doctor. She's acknowledged through the Cleveland Clinic. She's a part of the Cleveland Clinic, and there's a doctor group that's all they do is functional medicine. She's my personal doctor now. So we work in 9-month segments. So we attack things for me in that 9-month window. We do saliva testing. We do stool sample testing, urine sampling, blood sampling. We figure out how my body processes food. Adrenal fatigue. I was stage 3 adrenal fatigue, which is the furthest you can be. So from working 4 to 10 every day for as long as I can remember, your body just can't maintain that, right? So I was in stage 3 adrenal fatigue, had no idea, but you start to think about, I don't sleep well before, getting 2 or 3, 4 hours of sleep a night, right? I'd push my body hard during the day, both at work and mentally. And then my body just never recovered. So from a functional medicine perspective, she's working with individuals like us going, there is a better way. I'm not going to prescribe you a pill.
Good for
to
her.
make
Yeah,
you
that's
better.
awesome.
I always
Right.
just thought of the whole pill deal as just like a shortcut. People want just a shortcut.
Absolutely. It's easy.
They don't want to face reality.
Nope.
It's like you got to go through some hard choices sometimes.
That's right. Yeah. So that's to your point. We start to see now. She is. You can see doctors starting to go timeout. Like there's something broke in the system. Like it's not getting any better. Obesity rates going up. We have to fix that. And Libby and other doctors like her are taking that step forward, going enough's enough. Let's prescribe healthy lifestyle, healthy exercise, maybe more of a natural medication that I can supply to you, and not an over-counter drug that that everybody's getting addicted to, or that quick fix.
For me, I feel like some of those guys might take it a little too far, though. There are certain things where these medications do help. There's a balance to be had there. And if you go all natural, you can let yourself die that you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good point. I think you have to look at it as, where am I at today? And if it's mission critical, type 2 diabetes, and you are on that verge, you need the medication to live till tomorrow, or you're going to die of a stroke. You're gonna have a heart attack, whatever it is. You're absolutely right. So you have to diagnose it and go, okay, we need to get this individual healthy as we can right now. Then what's the long-term prognosis? What do we do long-term for that? And then, so we prescribe the medication, and then we start to shift you.
Is she able to prescribe medication still? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a full-fledged doctor. She still has all of that. So she could, if you were immune compromised and you needed something from a medication, she could write a script. No worries. Take care of you right now.
Sounds like a cool situation.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And she has, her and her partner, they have a podcast of themselves, and it's way better than my podcast. it's really professional, but you guys have to check it out.
What's it called?
Her business is called Northside Functional Fitness.
Okay.
Or Northside Functional Medicine, I guess it is. I can send you the link. But they're
absolutely.
it's
definitely have to
it's
check it
really
out.
yeah, it's really, really good.
There need to be more doctors like that.
Yeah,
There
no
definitely
question.
needs to be.
Yeah,
Makes
no
me
doubt.
it makes me like happy for it, because it just seeing other people do that.
Yeah, going in the right direction. Yeah, that's for sure.
Because I always hear stories of people like traveling, and they go to these different countries and they just see people, and then they come back and they realize, holy cow, America is not healthy.
Oh yeah,
Like everywhere else, the obesity is not an issue. People are genuinely, decent size. They're not like morbidly obese, and they walk, they eat, usually very healthy.
yeah,
And they come here and they're like, wow, this is it's insane.
yeah. It's not good.
I think it's partly is also like the amount of efficiency everyone's supposed to be. Everyone has to like get to. Everyone has to be working as much as they can, and they don't really have as much time to do for other stuff.
Yep.
So I think that the COVID thing is probably changing that, where people are like, hey, I can now focus on
Exactly.
working out and figuring out my diet and making food and spending time learning how to cook or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we've made it too easy.
True, exactly.
In the United States, right? Go to McDonald's in less than 5 minutes. You can have a 2,500 calorie meal, eat one burger and a thing of fries and a big gulp of. There's 2,500 calories right there.
And
so and you do that, and the sugar in it, it's like, oh, boy, I could have another one of those.
Super cheap.
For about 15 minutes.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've made it that
hopefully the COVID makes people just like read into it too.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't realize the amount of calories are in these foods and such.
Exactly.
Like, you're exactly right. Like McDonald's, those meals are thousands of calories a piece when if you would make that at home, it would be maybe a quarter of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And just, is it even real food that you're putting in your body?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
But we've made it. Yeah, it's we just made it easy, especially for young families. Think about, you got the kids in the back, and you know we were guilty of it early on too. Like,
it's hard not to.
It's so chicken nuggets. Like, let's just go, Tanner, give me the big 20-pack. You know what I mean? And, and that's the way we used to roll. But thankfully, we've gotten smarter.
There's one time I went, I think it was Marshall's or something. I got out of my car, and the person right next to me was just a mom. She's very overweight. Look in the back. Her little kid had his French fries poured all over me. He's just picking them up, just shoving it in his mouth, like just McDonald's French fries. And mom's just up there on her phone.
Yeah.
Jeez, peace.
That's where we got.
That was disgusting.
Yeah.
But.
We had one of our podcasts. We had Dr. Aaron Kuhn on, and he's a psychologist here in town in Celina. I would highly suggest you grab him. We talked about, we made the link between physical fitness and mental health, and he himself, he's a power lifter / bodybuilder. He's put together, right? So he works on that piece of his life. But he's probably one of the best counselors I've ever met, and he's been a friend of mine since I was real, real little. So Dr. Kuhn talked about when you see those individuals, you know, in line at Walmart, where they're majorly obese, they're in a cart or something, the mindset, and I have to change my mindset too. You have to change that to say, in his words, I really want to go talk to that individual because they've got some type of a story to tell, because something happened majorly traumatic in their life that led them to that position. And he calls it the in and out. You're either in the in crowd, so you're that in crowd if you're working out and you're in the, you know, and they're on the out crowd looking in, right? And that's why they stay on the couch, because it's really a mental thing. But most individuals that way, there is something that traumatic in their lifetime that happened that supported where they're at today, that started that trend. Could be something really, really, when they were really little or middle age, that type of thing. So it really, that enlightened me. And you guys, I have that podcast out there. You can listen to it. It's about an hour. But just to sit back and listen to that mental tie between, you know, our mental health and our physical health. You're like, wow, there's a whole nother level. Like, I'm nowhere near as smart to figure all that out. You know what I mean? But
what's the podcast called, and where can people find it?
Yeah, so it's Craving More. So Crave, CrossFit Crave. So Craving, and then m.o.r.e, Craving More. Awesome. So that's you can find it on all of the same sites that you can find it on. We go through Anchor, which punches it out to all of the podcasting, and then we have a YouTube channel that our stuff's on there. So we're learning. We're not nearly as fancy as here. We finally got our mics figured out. We got all that set up. That group down in Dayton I told you about.
Yeah, that guy was he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, man. He Mo. And then when we went down to Dr. Libby, she created a commercial. And so that crew came to CrossFit and filmed a commercial, just a little 5-minute soundbite.
Awesome.
So when they got there, they're like, oh man, because I had some of my podcasting stuff set out. And they're like, oh yeah, do this, do that, do that. So I'm writing notes now. Yeah. So we got a lot of my stuff we got fixed.
Awesome.
by them guys helping us out. So
I'll have to come by and check it out. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
We all could.
There's probably something I could learn here. I still have no idea how any of this stuff works.
Oh, Frank? I don't know. Yeah. Frank is definitely
Frank carries most of the weight around here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun. And that's all our stuff is learned by air.
It's the best way to do it.
Learn from your mistakes.
That's how my life has just been, fall and just get back up.
Yep. Keep moving. We talk that with our kids. Always rise. Whatever situation in, you can take one step forward and rise out of it. Always think to rise, or you can fall back. So
It's a great mindset to have.
Yep.
It just applies to everything in life.
Yep. The events that happen, rise out of them.
All right. Well, you think that's a good place to stop?
I think so. Matt, is there anything else you want to say to the people, man?
No, man, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it was a ball.
having me out, and I'd love to do it again sometime. And
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I enjoyed it. This was fun.
Thanks
You
for
don't
coming.
get
thank
often to relax and kind of just talk.
Yeah.
That's the
Nice.
cool part about it. Yeah.
We definitely, that was our goal. We wanted to talk to people. Like, 'cause it just seems like it's not, people are not talking to each other.
Yeah.
You gotta talk to people.
That's
so.
great. Everyone has a story.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's right.
All righty.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yep. See you guys.
Peace.